Security units say the shooting this morning in the Ratmalana area, which left an army corporal injured, was the result of a personal dispute. Meanwhile, one person was injured in another shooting in the Kotahena area last night.
Around 7:20 this morning, an army corporal was injured in a shooting down Chakindarama Road in Ratmalana, which falls under the Mount Lavinia Police Division. Army media spokesperson Brigadier Sumit Atapattu said the victim who was shot is Corporal Amal Yasis Prabhat, a driver of Lieutenant Colonel W.D.C. Pereira. The corporal sustained injuries to his left arm and was admitted to the Colombo South Teaching Hospital for treatment. Police said the shooting was carried out by gunmen who arrived in a three-wheeler and motorbike when the army corporal had arrived at the lieutenant colonel's residence in the official vehicle. Further investigations are underway. Meanwhile, the victim, who was shot down Jampata Street in Kotahena last night, is receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the Colombo National Hospital. The victim, identified as Karupaya Palani Ganesh, a father of three and a resident of 137th Watta, was shot by two gunmen on a motorbike around 9:15 last night. The victim's wife had been murdered by a certain group around 3 years ago. Police believe two of the suspects behind the murder were killed by Ganesh's two sons and that yesterday's shooting are connected to this dispute. The Kotahena police are conducting further investigations into the shooting. A program will be initiated to eradicate such gangs. This has become something essential over the past few days. Ever since the end of the war, various gangs have got a hold of weapons which they have been using for some time. We are investigating those matters as well.
Present-day police officers have been given the training, knowledge and skill and weapons to control crime. However, they do not have a safe working environment. There is the police commission, the department and the government. They must provide better leadership to these personnel. It is only then that you can create a safe working environment. What is the cause of the wave of crimes which is destroying lives day in and day out?
There was a war, and it is likely that weapons may have been misused on a large scale. The other concern is if weapons could have been brought to Sri Lanka illegally via the port or otherwise. But none of this concerns civil ordnance. The Secretary of the Ministry of State Defence is the competent authority to issue firearms. A gun or a pistol at most does not fall under the firearms ordinance. It is issued based on a certain purpose. It may be for self-defence, protection of crops, sports activities and for the transportation of money. Licenses are issued for these matters, which have to be renewed every year.
Small arms are circulating in the country, but they are not detected. Yet it takes place in large scale. In 2005, former President Chandrika Kumaratunga appointed a national commission to deal with the proliferation of illicit small arms and light weapons. Weapons were collected in 2006. We see the paramount importance of such a commission. We are not aware of the post-war weapons circulating in Sri Lanka. In 1988, local government members were given weapons like the AK-47, but those were never recovered. The innocent people will have to face the consequences of this. Accusations have been levelled at various parties over criminals and underworld gangs coming into possession of modern automatic firearms. Key among those who are facing accusations are the Avantgarde company, which provided maritime security services under the previous government, and Ratna Lanka, the government agency which supplied firearms to them. There are several questions which must be raised at this instance. How many firearms did Ratna Lanka supply to Avantgarde? Were all of these firearms returned to the security forces? What fate befell the firearms whose serial numbers had been removed? Was a proper audit carried out regarding the stocks of arms and ammunition in the possession of Ratna Lanka and Avantgarde? While justice must be served on the underworld gangs and criminals who menace our society, shouldn't the government immediately take steps to identify those who have paved the way for such gangs to come into possession of advanced modern weapons and ammunition?